Du er i øjeblikket en af de radioaktive og lytter til T-Radioen. Vores værter står klar til at give dig en smagsprøve på deres programmer og glæder sig til at møde dig. Vil du ikke gå glip af, når vi er live, så skynd dig at trykke på hjertet, så du følger vores side. Slå røven i sædet og giv en varm velkomst til vores næste program.
I'm having an issue.
Hello.
Okay. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Noise Complaint. As you can tell, I have two guests with me, and Nelson isn't here this week, so it's a little different setup, but hopefully it'll still be a great show. Do you guys want to introduce yourselves?
Yeah, hi guys, I'm Anne. You might know me from the show before.
Hi, my name is Naomi, or Noemi in French.
And they're both in 4 cities, cohort 12 with me. And today we're going to be talking a little bit about how we used to listen to and experience music before Corona times. It's something we used to do together. But
Those were the days.
yeah, sadly, things have changed. Well, the reason Nelson isn't here is because he's in Sweden, traveling around during our holidays. And we'll be going on a road trip all together when he gets back. So that'll be fun, and maybe we can talk about it a bit on the next week's show.
Yeah. Sounds good.
Okay, we got a note that says you should speak a bit louder, Noemi.
Okay, sure.
Like, yeah, just get a little closer.
Okay, wait.
Okay, all right. So, as you guys all may have experienced, we can't listen to music in the same way that we used to anymore. It's now kind of a more individualized experience and really heavily relies on streaming. In a lot of places, bars aren't even open like they are here now in Copenhagen, and so live music or dancing isn't really a thing. But experiencing music with other people has like huge psychological effects, and mostly good effects, which we're going to get into in the show. We're going to talk a bit about the benefits of dancing with people on your brain, and also how people like to experience repetitive music through movement. And Anne and Noemi have shared a couple really cool songs we're going to play and vibe to, so it's going to be a fun show. So I guess I just want to ask you two, like, how has your experience listening or enjoying music changed since coronavirus? And have you seen it as a negative thing or a positive thing? Kind of like, how's that been for you?
Yeah, maybe you want to go first?
Sure. I think that I listen to music every day. That did not change, but my relation to music really changed. It's better now. The microphone, I guess.
Yeah, just keep talking. Well, whoever.
And instead of going to bars or clubs to dance, I just dance by myself in my room or in the shower, which feels a bit lonely. But I just still enjoy listening to music. And I guess when we were in lockdown in Vienna, we also like partied together and like went to the canal and stuff. So we did also experience our own clubbing experiences. So I guess it did change a lot, but I think that my love for music did not change that much.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, for me, I mean, my dancing in the nightclub music is very different from like my personal rock taste in general. So I feel like I'm kind of missing out on experiencing new club music because I'm just listening to this like more rocky style music all by myself, and sometimes I feel like I'm kind of missing out on this like dance music style because I'm not actively researching that in my own time, but I usually like kind of gain knowledge about more dancing music whilst I'm out dancing, which I'm missing out on currently.
Yeah. And I've had a lot of other conversations with people from our program at least, saying how, you know, they miss being anonymous in a crowd, and kind of just really being in touch with the music and not being about being embarrassed or having to follow certain social norms. Like, it's really just about moving and anonymity, and you just feed off the people around you. And even like if you go to a club alone, you're not really alone, because you're part of the community that's there. But I think now we have like Zoom concerts, which I know you listened to, or you tuned into a Zoom concert, but like I just don't think that's quite the same. Like I've watched one and I just didn't get the same benefits that I would from being into a concert live. Like, you don't feel the bass vibrations in your feet. You're not physically connected to the music in the same way. And I think when I say I miss dancing so much, it's not necessarily about like missing clubbing. You know, I think like a lot of older generations might be like, oh, these millennials just want to go out, but it's not about that. It's like about being in this trance-like state. You know, I think it's like a special physical and social experience. So, anyway, how does this connect to the urban, since our show is about sounds in the city? I mean, my favorite memories of cities like New York City are just walking through Central Park and seeing like people roller disco skating to music and dancing together and things like that. Like that spontaneity, and just groups of people grooving, I think is like an urban thing.
Yeah, playing the bagpipe. I was in Edinburgh over summer, and usually every corner you have someone playing the bagpipe. But this year there was only one man playing the bagpipe, and he was playing the bagpipe for all of Edinburgh, which was very weird.
Okay, so before we play some songs of our own, we're going to kind of talk about why, or give a premise as to why these songs are so fun to listen to and why do we dance as people. So there's like a lot of evidence that supports the benefits of dancing, including psychological well-being, increased self-esteem, and anxiety reduction. And that's literally just through movement, not through a therapy session. So, you know, dancing can be seen as a form of therapy in itself. So there was a study I read that took place in Hungary, and it was interviewing a bunch of different people who took part in these Latin dance nights in Hungary, and it was trying to look at like the motivations behind dancing, like what's motivating people to go to these dance nights, and it was mostly about recreational dancing, so not dancing for sport. And they found that the motivations behind dancing were similar to those behind exercising, gambling, gaming, drug use, and alcohol use. And those motivations are mood enhancement, socializing, and escapism. But what's really unique to dancing is the motivations that are unique to dancing are that the self-confidence and the intimacy aspect. Like those were the main two motivations. And I think that's really special, that self-confidence can come through movement with others. And I think a lot of times you hear people saying, oh, I don't want to dance, I'm not a good dancer. But it's not about like having great moves, you know, it's about expressing yourself and really just like feeling. I don't know if you guys have thoughts about that. Like those motivations, or what motivates you.
Yeah, I think because in a nightclub no one knows you, or like even if you go to a dance class, you just there to have fun and no one's really judging you, and so yeah, you kind of can like get lost in this anonymity and just let go of your body basically.
Yeah, I think I have a very different relationship with dancing because I'm a ballerina. So like when I dance ballet, it's very structured and rigid, but when I dance for club, like in clubs or like with my friends, I really like get loose and like have fun, and yeah, that I really miss sometimes.
Yeah, like I know I can go out and like I'll be feeling really shitty, and then I just start dancing, and you know I feel really positive about life, and yeah, it's a kind of transcendence almost. Are back. So if you want to tell a little anecdote or any personal feelings with that song that you just played for us.
So the first time I listened to that song was back in Montreal during my undergrads, and I remember just being with my cousins in a club we always gone to, and yeah, it was really, really fun, and I realized it was a French DJ afterwards. And then when I went to Paris to visit my friends, I also listen to that song a lot, and especially in one club in Paris, which is very famous. Like a lot of famous artists went there, and we didn't expect to get in because it was really hard to get in this club in like at that night. And then we did get in, and the first music that pops up, it's this one. So it was really fun, and I was with my other cousin and my best friend, so it was a really good night in Paris.
Nice. That does
Yeah.
sound like a great night. Okay, so next we're going to talk a little bit about what specific types of music are the most conducive to dancing in a way where people feel a lot of emotion, and that is repetitive music. And I think in this day and age, when people think of repetitive music, they think a lot about EDM, electronic music, dance music, but you know, that is not the only genre of music that has repetition, and repetitive music goes back to, you know, like South American shamanic music, African tribal music, loop-based analog tech music. You know, they all have a familiar rhythmic geometry, and it's something that has existed throughout the ages because this repetition is something that humans like really identify with. And so let's see. I think like the big question is like, what is it about humans that identify with repetition? And there was this article I was reading that was saying that, you know, back to our most primal roots is there's a rhythm within our body, and that is our pulse. And so we kind of have like this internal rhythm with us, and as humans we're always trying to organize the information that, you know, we're being given throughout the world. And when we hear repetition in songs, we are trying to impose patterns like within the natural world. And that's like a big fundamental of human musical empowerment. So kind of like when we hear that repetition, we organize it in our brain and feel it in our bodies. And that's kind of like how we're processing the sound. And it makes us feel at ease. And you can kind of let go and be entranced, as some may say. And so even though so you can listen to a song or a genre and not understand like the theoretical aspects of that song that the artist may have behind it, but you can feel it because you're organizing the sounds or the rhythm. So like last week we had an episode about acid house, and I didn't know anything of the theory of acid house before, but I had listened to it and I could feel it, and I loved dancing to it and listening to it, but I didn't know the theoretical aspects of it. So I think, you know, it just goes to show that like people shouldn't be like snobs about music, because it's really about feeling it and processing it with your body. And even though you can appreciate it more when you're processing it like theoretically with your mind, music's really about enjoyment, and that's where dancing comes in, because that is like our physical expression of that joy. So ignore music snobs. Like I've had so many people tell me that the songs that I listen to, you know, are like trashy, or it's like pop music, or, you know, things like that, like really looking down on it. And I just think that's so unnecessary. I don't know if you guys have any thoughts on that.
Yeah, no, you should just listen to what makes you feel good.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
It doesn't matter what anyone else thinks, as long as you can dance to it.
I second that, yeah.
So the first song I'm going to play that is a repetitive music song is a great song for dancing, and I actually first studied this song in this sociological nightlife class I took, because we learned about repetitive music and dancing in that course. And so this was a pioneering disco record. It's called Mighty Real by Sylvester. It came out in 1978, and it was one of the first songs using a lot of electronic instrumentation and effects, and it's a very repetitive song, and it actually went on to influence dance music and electronic music in the 80s. And Sylvester, they were gender fluid and openly gay, and they actually unfortunately died from complications arising from the AIDS virus in 1988, and they left all the royalties for their work to a San Francisco-based HIV/AIDS charity foundation. So that's just a little background on this song. So we're going to play that now, and I hope you enjoy. All right, and we are back from that song, so thanks for sticking with us. All right, so as I was saying, repetitive music has a transcendental emotional power, and Dr. Stefan Oertel can't say I know how to pronounce that name. But anyway, he's been researching the emotional fluctuations that occur when listening to steady drum kicks and simple bass loops. And basically, the repetition of these simple patterns are what he calls a functional trance state, not to be confused with the genre trance. I think trance is actually nicknamed after the trance that listeners feel when listening to repetitive music. And the simplicity of the pattern allows listeners to respond in a neurally hardwired subconscious way. So it really is just your body moving or your brain responding. And you're not really aware of the way you're reacting, but it's like a primal instinct instead of the analytical thought processes. And when music is designed for immediate effect, and that immediate effect would be dancing, those automatic neural processes take over. So it really is a bodily response. It's not just people who are looking to dance or behave in a certain way. I think you could be completely sober listening to repetitive music and you still feel it, the urge to go crazy and dance and move. Which I think is a beautiful thing. And it also illustrates why the slight changes in repetitive songs have the biggest impact in dance music. So it brings you out of the trance that you're in when you're listening to all these loops and repetitions. So it allows for this moment of brief analysis of the music, like say when there's a drop in a song or when they bring in a sample during all the repetition. It kind of brings you out of your trance and you're like, whoa, what's going on? This is great. And then it goes back to the repetition and you're like back in the loop again and you can return back to what you were doing. So it's kind of this like, climax and then back to the regular repetition. And I think that's something humans really enjoy. And so we can enjoy successfully predicting the next 4 bars of a song, but we also enjoy when those predictions are wrong and when the music catches you off guard. So it's kind of like you need both at the same time. Yeah, I don't know. I know. So like I really like this kind of music, but I know like you guys don't love techno.
Yeah.
But which, I think, techno's not always the best dance music. There's a lot of different types of music to dance to out there. And we also love like screaming to old pop songs from the 90s. So what do you guys feel when you listen to this type of music?
Yeah. For me, it's just like if I know the song, I'm like actively waiting for the drop. And like I like actively drop with the song and then go back into it kind of thing. But also I really enjoy listening to songs, like even if techno isn't my favorite, I do enjoy listening to it and being surprised by it if I don't know the song and just letting me I'm just waiting for the music and see what happens kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. I think the only time I really listened to techno was in a festival in Montreal in the winter. And it was like electro and techno music. And because I was with friends and surrounded with people, like I felt good. But like I would never listen to techno like in my bedroom by myself. I need this environment to support it, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah. And I think that actually speaks a lot to what I'm going to talk about after I play this next song, which is mimicry. But before that, I want to play, I played Mighty Real earlier, which, is kind of the precursor to these techno repetitive songs. And now I'm going to play, a more modern version. So this is called Bring It Back by Hoppa. All right, so I hope you enjoyed that song, but also totally fine if you didn't, because we have other genres coming.
Yeah, we do.
A lot different.
So, all right. So basically, back to the psychological effects of dancing to songs like this, but I mean, also, this is more, now we're moving away from repetitive music and talking more about dancing itself. But so scholarly research, is proving that music is a drug like any other, stimulating your reward response mechanisms, altering our chemical balances, and playing with our perception of the present. So, music is like a very powerful tool. And I think something that makes that is a really important part of this is mimicry. And mimicry involves imitating the behaviors of others, and it's an action that has been shown to increase the rapport between people. And I don't know if you've noticed, but like when you are dancing with a group of people, you know, you might see a move someone's doing and they're like, oh, they look really good, like doing a dance move like that. Like maybe I will try to imitate that a bit, you know? And so you're showing each other, it's like this conversation without words through body language that, you know, you may consciously or subconsciously be mimicking the movements of others, but it connects you in a specific way. And these repetitive and rhythmic movements and synchrony between individuals, which is also referred to as interpersonal entrainment. Interpersonal entrainment, sorry, it's a mouthful. But it's been shown to have positive effects on perceived social relationships and has been identified as an important factor in everyday social interaction. And it also, which I'll get into after this next song, but it helps create more vivid memories and memories of the people you're dancing with. So as you mimic people, which, you know, you might not be so aware of, you're actually forming social bonds. And I think that's why earlier when I was talking about the motivations behind dancing, we said that like being social was a main motivation. And it's not because you're talking to people while you're dancing, it's because the literal physical movement and mimicry that's going on between the group is the social aspect. I don't know if you guys have any stories about mimicry in your own dancing, or just like, I don't know, maybe it's not something you thought about while doing it, but like now looking back.
Oh no, I definitely do it. I love being on a dance floor and seeing someone making a move, and I'm like, oh, I'm trying this out now too. And then just going with the flow.
Yeah, I think we did it a lot in Brussels because we were always like in clubs, but like in circles, and like we put all our bags in the middle, and we were dancing and like, I don't know, like doing all the same moves and like building upon each other like moves and stuff. So I think we did it a lot in Brussels, but like because we're not clubbing anymore, we don't do it so often.
I think that's actually really important, like the concept of a dance circle, because I think, you know, if you're an anthropologist or an archaeologist, you might be like, oh, the dance circle, like a tribal dance or a ritualistic thing. But for us, you know, we're not really analyzing ourselves in that way, but we are, you know, when we go out forming circles and watching, so you can see everybody.
Exactly.
But yeah, I think, yeah, that's a good observation. Okay, so then let's see. Oh yeah, also I think, just one last thing before we play this next song, like another reason why dancing is so important for social relations as well is because there isn't, like, we're not being instructed to do anything while we're dancing. Like, it's a script we're writing ourselves. And so you're really expressing yourself in like your most free and true to form way. Yeah, which maybe helps with self-confidence because you don't feel like you have to do a certain thing.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, so the next song we're playing is a song I also love, but Anne suggested. It's I Am, parentheses, 500 miles.
By the Proclaimers.
So give this a listen, and then we'll get back to Anne with her thoughts about it. All right, so Anne, your reasoning behind this song?
Yeah, the song I actually, at the beginning, I only knew it from How I Met Your Mother. But then I moved to Scotland, and the Proclaimers are from Scotland, so this song is not to be missed in Scotland. It's everywhere, especially in pubs when they offer like live music. The band basically has to play this song, and it's like the first 5 seconds of this song is on, and like you're standing in a pub, and like everyone just starts bouncing, and like everyone knows this song, so you could just be by yourself, but you could literally just stand next to a person and start singing this song with them, and everyone would just be like jumping up and down and like shouting this like da da da, and everyone would be like shouting da 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 back to you. So it's like this song is literally like, it cannot be missed in Scotland, and it just forms part like in any nightclub, like in any pub, it's always there. And I think it's particularly brilliant when there is like live music. So I was thinking a lot about like live music, which we're missing out on just now, and that's why I chose this song.
So I think that song also showed like, you know, the elements of mimicry and repetition we were talking about earlier, but in a genre that is not techno. So I think that's a perfect example of a song that people might not think there's a lot of theory or analysis behind, but then you can apply these theories to it as well. but also you can just feel it and dance and sing. And so I think one of the terms I came across when doing research for the show was that people are dancing in synchronized with each other, but also people are dancing in sympathy with each other, which is why they create these strong social bonds while dancing. But I almost think people are dancing I prefer the term people dancing in empathy rather than in sympathy with each other, because I think empathy is like has more understanding and like stepping into someone's shoes and like has more of a connection, whereas sympathy, I think you're just like feeling bad for someone, or like it comes from not a place of so much understanding. So I feel like in dancing there is empathy, kind of, because you're like sharing this moment together. Yeah. So let's see. Just kind of a last note of the research that I did basically was that individuals have enhanced memory for people they dance with. So if I look back, like a lot of my strongest memories are dancing with people. Like those are not necessarily the most important memories, but the strongest in my mind. Yeah,
totally agree. There are songs and they come on and I just have so many emotions in me about like this one night out or this one birthday, and it becomes very strong and it goes with me like all my life after that.
Totally.
Yeah. And I think a major role of like collective dance is affirmation, and that's why there is like this boost in self-confidence, boost in your psychological state, is like when you're dancing with people, you're affirming them and their existence and their movement and their enjoyment. So it's kind of just like a really great supportive like action all around. So for the rest of the show, we're actually just going to play music so you can dance and experience all the theories we were talking about. It's praxis. This is the praxis section of the show. But before I play the other songs we asked for recommendations for bangers, and my dad recommended a song. So I'm going to play it if I can figure out. Okay. Sorry, Dad, I'm not going to play the whole song just because we have some other songs to play before the show's over, but thank you for the recommendation. Fun to dance to. So, all right, some upcoming songs we have so far are from Noemi and Anne, and one of them is mine. So we have One Dance, which was a recommendation from Anne. We have All the Way Up, which was a recommendation from Noemi. I Am for Liam, recommendation from Anne.
Liam from Oasis.
You're the One by Kate Renata from me, and Can't Hold Us by Macklemore, I think, from Noemi. So, just rock out. And thank you for listening. I'll be back with a quote to end the show. So just to end the show, I want to read a quote. So if you think about all the stuff we were saying about mimicry, repetition, and the psychological effects of dancing, just let this sink in. The subtle rhythmic patterns of music, basic to how we speak, how we walk, how we dance, how we play music, are unspoken signs of who we are, whom we resemble, and thus whom we are with. So with that, I'm going to play an outro song, which is, Noemi, do you want to introduce it?
It's called Can't Hold Us by Macklemore.
And then enjoy the program after us. Goodbye.
Thank
Tune
you
in
for
next
having
week.
us. Thanks.